Hi, this is Alan Schimmel for DevOps.com's DevOps TV here at Does 16 San Francisco. Happy to be joined by Shashi Kiran from Quali. Shashi, welcome.
Thank you, Alan. Glad to be here.
Good, glad to have you here. Shashi, you and I last spoke in person at, I think it was Jenkins World, and then we had a chance to catch up on the phone about a week or 10 days ago. And I know Quali came out with some new news, but before we jump into that, I don't know if our Does audience here is familiar with Quali. You guys are a sponsor here at Does. Why don't you give our audience just a little quick background of what Quali's about?
Certainly. So Quali is a venture-funded startup. It's been around for a while. And what we offer as a flagship product is the concept of cloud sandboxes. So for those who are familiar with sandboxes, what we do is we allow for the creation of the production environment in totality and replicate it and make it accessible to developers and testers early on in the life cycle. And this is one of the richest environments that you can create in the industry today. Anything from physical patch panels, layer 0, all the way up to applications. So essentially, it's the full stack. And you can deploy it in your data center, in your private cloud, or into a public cloud environment. So just the creation of this very rich environment and the flexibility of deploying it into any cloud gives a tremendous amount of advantage to customers who are shifting between architectures. For example, they may be modernizing their application architectures, moving from monolithic to microservices and containers. They may be moving from traditional data centers to public clouds or hybrid clouds. Or they may be doing some advanced security testings. So any of these different use cases, scalable demos, troubleshooting, the concept of the sandbox becomes very powerful. And today here in the Enterprise DevOps Summit, we're one of the gold sponsors. And we're showing how the sandbox can be brought into a DevOps lifecycle and integrated into existing CI/CD processes, or to other initiatives that you might have, like digitization, cloud migration, or even application modernization.
Excellent. And this is a very important piece of being able to deploy rapidly, right? And short feedback loops, learning and moving it on. Now, just recently, I think when we spoke last, about a week or 10 days ago, you guys had a new announcement coming out around using Quali in public clouds and so forth. Why don't you share with our audience a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So one of the biggest trends that we see in the industry is the move towards cloud. Either it is taking your traditional data center infrastructure and offering them as private cloud services, which is the mandate of IT organizations, or it could be going down the path of a pure public cloud. But most enterprises today are really embracing a mixture of the two, which is what we call as hybrid clouds. And hybrid clouds offer the best of both worlds, which is the visibility and control that you'd expect in a private cloud environment, and couple that with the scale and speed that you would expect in a public cloud environment. So what Quali is offering now is something that's fairly unique in the industry and something that's being offered for the first time, which is essentially to bring a hybrid cloud sandbox and make it available to enterprise IT for their cloud migration initiatives or cloud deployment initiatives. So one of the challenges that they see today is they might have an on-premise deployment. And for you to go down the path of a public cloud, the application architecture changes. The infrastructure elements are completely different. And depending on which public cloud you go to, AWS, Azure, Google Cloud Platform, each one of them has a different variation of the templates and the way they go about setting it. So there is a fair degree of familiarization that's required, but also, because the environments are different, it induces risk. And risk always slows down the adoption of anything new. So that's what we see a majority of enterprises caught in today in their quest for hybrid clouds. They're not able to accelerate as rapidly as they want to mainly because of the road bumps that crop in because of the mismatch of environments. What Quali has allowed them to do is bring the private and the public cloud into the same hybrid sandbox, and then they can run development for or test against a certain application or infrastructure and see how it behaves. Is the experience consistent? Is the security posture consistent? Is the compliance that you're expecting consistent? So essentially, by being able to model that in the context of a sandbox, it allows you to much more rapidly de-risk any move from where you are to where you want to go, and in the process expedite the acceleration in the adoption with much lower costs. So that's what we announced a few weeks ago with vCenter as well as AWS being the first proof point. And we also announced a vision that's cloud agnostic, in the sense that this would also allow you to embrace OpenStack, bare metal, Azure, Google Cloud Platform. But we are now generally available with our capability to do this between VMware and AWS. And in fact, the timing is good because VMware and AWS just announced their own integration and partnership, recognizing the fact that the workloads are becoming much more hybrid, and they are no longer competing for the customer, but collaborating.
Some may say when pigs fly, but okay, it happens. It's interesting.
That's right.
But that's exciting developments there, Shashi, because as I think we all agree, the hybrid, at least for the foreseeable future, hybrid is the model that most organizations, enterprises, no one's moving everything to the cloud, but no one's not moving anything to the cloud.
That's right.
Double negative. But so the hybrid is it. So I'm sure this is something that your customers will really appreciate. Just one more quick question, because we're probably over time, but you mentioned your gold sponsor. What do you think of DOES so far?
Let's see what it does. It's early days yet, and I'm excited about the kind of conversations we've had today morning. And it appears that a lot of people who have set up DevOps fairly quickly, either by an organizational mandate or because they are trying to expedite releases. In fact, the business pressure to move fast on the enterprise IT organization is tremendous. And so a lot of the teams and the infrastructure elements have been set up chaotically, and now they have reached a certain threshold, and if they want to scale, they need order. And that's where the concept of the sandbox becomes very compelling for them. And I had some really good conversation with customers from fintech, in the insurance industry, and even some people in the transport sector, airline, all of whom are trying to move quickly in a way that they can better service the needs of their internal employees or their external customers. And I'm hopeful that this concept of the cloud sandbox will resonate and meet with their business needs. And I would encourage your viewers as well, particularly those that are looking at DevOps automation, cloud, application modernization, to take a look at what's under the hood at Quali. They can look us up at www.quali.com.
Excellent. Shashi Kiran from Quali, thank you for joining us here at the DevOps Enterprise Summit. We look forward to hearing more about Quali and your continued DevOps and sandbox kind of offerings in the market soon.
Alan, thanks as always. And
thank you, Shashi.
You're true inspiration and a leading light in the industry. So I'm glad
flattery will get you everywhere. Anyway, this is Alan Schimmel for DevOps.com's DevOps TV from DOES 16 in San Francisco.